5, is that next?
What's that?
1305 next. So that is the Silver State and the PIW, although they are structured differently, but it's on the same commission regulation, only for the 2013 season.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and Commission, Maureen Hullinger, Nevada Department of Wildlife License Office. Just a little bit of background. NRS 502-250 establishes the number of big game tags, and for the Silver State Hunt and the heritage tags, we're limited to a total of 15. Last February, you established the 2013 heritage tags, and with this CR 1305, you're doing the 2013 Silver State. So keep in mind that there was 9 big game tags established for heritage out of the total of 15 allowed by NRS. There was 2 deer, 2 elk, 2 antelope, 2 Nelson bighorn sheep, and 1 California bighorn sheep for that, those heritage tags that are being auctioned off this spring. So with that in mind, I'll turn it over to Mike and staff for the biology side of it.
So starting with the Silver State tag, again, just the 2013 season, we, and you'll see this in the other special tags, under the unit group column for the desert bighorn, I mean, nothing's clean, but there has been a concern about not having the same unit getting hit by all these special tags. So what we did for the Silver State is wherever the Silver State tag harvest of a bighorn ram the previous year, that unit is not available to be hunted in the current year. And that same language is what we're recommending in all the other special tags specific to that tag. So for PIW, the current PIW hunting season is not allowed in the previous year's PIW tag harvest. This is just desert bighorn, just desert bighorn. For the heritage, it's the last year's heritage harvested unit for desert bighorn can't be hunted in the current year's heritage. So it's specific to that special tag. And then in the season dates, this is really an extension of our discussion earlier with Stonewall Mountain 252. Not only we're concerned about during the hunting season that's established by the 3151 hunt, but we have had some issues with sportsmen who purchase or are lucky enough to draw one of these special tags and hunting prior to that November season that we've set in the 3151. And it's just like I was talking this morning, we're continuing to push the envelope of these people going out when there's nobody out there, going across the boundary, clearly violating NTTR rules and regulations. And we feel that the best way we can manage these special tags and get the support from NTTR is to eliminate the potential for these hunters, or eliminate these hunters from hunting early, and saying, we don't have a problem with you hunting in 252, but we really need everyone out there at the same time where NTTR is watching everyone, and they know that there's not going to be several months of someone sneaking around there. So we just decided to recommend that the Nelson bighorn sheep season dates would be except for the unit 252, which would be the season date as established by yourself on the hunt 3151. PIW, go ahead.
And as we spoke about when we were talking about the sheep seasons in 252, it is not a clearly defined line, and that's why I'm going to support what's going on here. It lends itself with the way the line is for guys to not know where they're at and get themselves in trouble and make us look bad. So I agree with what they have going here.
Well, and maybe while we're on the Silver State hunts, do we need to, since we put some new language in specific to 252, do we need to reference that here? You know, I know we referenced the season dates. Do we need to say something like, and special regulations for that unit, specific to the footnote we just updated earlier, so it's clear?
Mr. Chairman and Commission, I would recommend that you just amend the footnotes at the bottom of that match your recommendations for change earlier in the regular 3151 hunts, so that they're consistent throughout all of the hunts, because you'll see that same language in the dream tag also. So
we would copy that entire footnote essentially into
Yeah.
1305.
yeah, if you wanted to add it, because that footnote on page 2 covers both partnership and wildlife and Silver State. It has the asterisks for both of those hunts.
Commissioner Rain.
Wouldn't this also apply to those areas within 280, 281, 282 that are also within that site? I mean, you can't access them except for through those gates. You can't go in. So it would apply to them as well, and they should be included in this as well.
The only difference is there is zero public land involved with 280, 281, 282, and there is, a third of the Stonewall Mountain, a fourth of it, that is public land, BLM land. I guess we certainly, maybe it wouldn't harm anything by adding those units, but it was clear that if you have a unit that has public land where people could push the envelope, we wanted to identify that unit, but because there is no BLM, no public land available in those other units, we just didn't think we needed to identify it.
282, you can't access a piece of it from public access road. But then you have to walk into the range itself. So even though you don't have to go through Point Bravo and drive on through their checkpoint, which you're not going to do, it'd probably be clearer to the public is what I'm thinking, to include those areas. You can't go in there, sorry, unless it's during these dates. Why not throw it all in there? I don't see be clearer, wouldn't it?
Well, in the footnote, we do have, there are portions of units within the MTTR where public access is restricted, but yeah, it's pleasure of the commission on that one.
Okay.
Commissioner Drew.
Mike, maybe you can clear this up. It came up at the Douglas Cab. I know we're doing the 2013 Silver State hunts, which I think the intent was to mirror the heritage.
Correct.
Is the current heritage regulation that you can't hunt where a previous year's ram was harvested?
Yes, I could show it, but I've got it here, and the language reads.
Because the 2014 proposal I know doesn't, but 2013
right.
did include that.
Well, I
can read
thought it
it
did, but
Mike, I got it.
okay, let's go for it.
I have
Number
the heritage for 2013. It reads, the successful bidder for each tag type may hunt statewide in units where a season is established by the commission for that species, except those areas closed to hunting in NAC 504-340, and for desert bighorn sheep, the unit where the previous year harvest for heritage desert bighorn sheep occurred.
So that mirrors what's already in place on the heritage side.
That was the heritage, yeah.
Now, this came up in a lot of the advisory boards. We, last February, May, we finalized all the bits and pieces of the 2013 Wildlife Heritage tag season, vendors. So that's set in fairly good stone. And we are, I guess what I'm trying to make a point is we are, in spirit, supporting the companion or the need to have the Silver State and the Heritage tags mirror each other in the same year, So since the Heritage seasons were set last year, our current 2013 Silver State regulation mirrors the 2013 Heritage seasons in terms of the Saturday next preceding, so on and so forth. But I have to admit, last year we had no discussion on restrictions to 252. So that would be, I guess, the outlier is the Silver State season. We do support you adopting that footnote that you approved in the 3151 for the Silver State. But the Heritage tag holder who buys that tag in the next week or two, he can still technically hunt the public portion of 252 beginning the first Saturday of September of 2013, and has no party restrictions, just to let you know. So wanted to clarify that. The PIW part of this same regulation, really the only thing that was changed was the PIW unit group for the Nelson Desert Bighorn sheep for 2013. That tag holder or tag holders cannot hunt where the previous year's harvest of the partnership and wildlife tag occurred.
Okay, any questions on that? Commissioner Macbeth?
Is there some place, either on the website or where information is available to determine where the Nelson Bighorn special tag holders harvested this year? This
Yeah,
past year?
it's imminent to be posted, the checkouts, but we'll make sure, as we have in the past, what that unit is in several locations. We'll have it listed in our hunt application brochure. We'll make sure it goes into our pop-down messages for the online application. So we call those, what do we call those?
It's just a special notice that they see when they're applying.
Right. So that they have to read it and then before they can apply for that. So we'll make sure that that specific unit is identified.
It ends up on the tag also.
Commissioner Drew?
This isn't in bold, so clearly I missed this last year, but what's the reasoning, Mike, on excluding Unit 161, 184, and 202, that October 15th and November 5th season?
At the time, when that language was put in, there were 3 PIW tags available. And the concern was there's only 3 unit groups, and now there's 3 unit groups that have this early season. And some of the sportsmen were concerned that you could double those tag holder numbers in there, and they could hunt that early season. And so the intent was not to, to give everybody that early season. They could hunt in all the other units, but with only 1 tag,
And the exception.
I don't have any sword to fall on if that was to be eliminated.
That was a concern, and with 1, it's not a concern. Question that I keep getting asked, and I'd like to hear from, hey, Corey, I'm going to ask you a question here. Corey Lytle, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sir, I wasn't listening, so I don't know what the question was.
Okay, that's why I wanted your attention before I said it, so I didn't have to repeat it. with the number of PIW deer tags of 22 resident, 3 non-resident, 25 tags, it's been told to me a lot in the past that your county just gets hammered with the PIW guys.
They do get hammered. We get hammered. There's a significant percentage of those 25 that end up either down in 24 or on that 22 late hunt that we just talked about running it. That was another concern, to run it as far as November 10th. If we can keep that window fairly tight, it will limit that influence. They do get hammered, and without data, these guys might have the results on it. They might be able to give you percentages. We get a lot of anecdotal information from that, but I haven't ever seen the numbers, so I don't know the actual percentage.
It was requested by one of you, or maybe a former commissioner, a couple years ago, and I presented that table, I think it was maybe 2010. So I think I went back to about 2005 for about a 5-6 year period for all species where PIW, the heritage, we didn't have the Silver State of Dream tag. It would take me a few minutes to find it, but I actually was surprised. If I recall, it was the harvest of mule deer was spread out more than I thought by those tag holders. And the PIW, it seemed like, yeah, there was probably 3 or 4 in 23 and a couple in 24, but they were scattered. Area 6, 194, 196. But I just don't have that data immediately at my fingertips.
I'm just bringing it up. I mean, I think it's wonderful that 22 residents and 3 non-residents get to hunt anywhere in the state, but if it's having it, I mean, that's a great thing, but I don't want to have an impact on any particular resource either. So that's what I'm trying to balance. Commissioner Rain?
A couple years ago, when Mr. Cox brought that up, I remember there was a pretty extensive database on it, and I believe at the time he convinced, I think, everybody on the commission that it was scattered out enough, it wasn't enough to worry about. And, you know, we blew by it because it don't tell anybody, you know, kind of convinced me too. So, you know.
It was really just the desert.
Can we keep that on the radar, though, so we can keep that chart going, so if we do start to see a push towards one unit group, it's not just anecdotal like we're talking with Corey. We can recognize it and maybe adjust if we need to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to say, is let's kind of keep it on the radar, the 22 late, 241, 245, and the 231. Just some, and there's other units in the state just like it. Let's kind of keep our eyes open. And that's one thing we want to just kind of watch quotas on some of those hunts, realizing that you may stack a good percentage of the PIW hunters on those.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Any more public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Drew?
All right, I'll take a stab at this since I've been out on a limb all day here. I would move to approve CR 1305, Silver State and Partnership in Wildlife Hunts, as proposed by the department with the following changes. Under 2013 PIW hunts for resident Nelson Bighorn Hunt 3000, that we strike the term excluding October 15th and November 5th seasons in units 161, 184, and 202, and to update the second footnote to reflect the motion that was previously made for the general Nelson hunt.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Drew, second by Commissioner Macbeth. Any further discussion? Commissioner Rain?
See, this is both for Silver State and PIW, or just doing PIW?
Silver State.
Both, right?
It's both.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that, I would think that under Silver State, Nelson Bighorn, it would be logical to include in there where it says 252 to go ahead and include those other units, 280, 281, and 282. Simply for clarification and the fact that, 282, some of the access is not totally restricted.
And I'm fine with that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, we have a friendly amendment. Does the second accepts this friendly amendment? Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's 8 with Commissioner McNinch absent. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'm starting to lose commissioners up here, so.